In this video, we're going to get into user interfaces and show how we can actually display content on the screen. We'll use the class we built in our last video called file contents to read in a file, and we can show it on the screen. So let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and create a new file. We'll call it file display.java, and we'll build our class public class file display. Now we're going to create a main method, public static void main string arguments, and we'll use this to display, or we'll use the file contents object that we created to display the contents of a file. So let's go ahead and we'll say if arguments dot length is greater than, or we'll say just if it's equal to 1. That way we can make sure that anything that we call, we will actually get one file argument, and we'll be able to display that. So if we have one argument, we'll go ahead and create file contents. Contents is equal to new file contents, and if you remember in our last lesson, that constructor takes one parameter, arguments 0, and we know that this exists because our length is 1, so we know we'll have at least one value in this array. Now we use contents.read contents, and then we'll create a string text is equal to contents.get contents. So now we can use this to load in that value, and you can see here this is going to load it, but we need to build a UI. We also need to handle the exceptions. Now in your program, if you don't want to handle your exceptions, you can actually you can add something into your main method here. You can say throws IO exception, and that means that we may encounter IO exceptions here, but we're not going to handle them. So let's go ahead and we will import java.io.io exception now that we've used that. We don't have to import file contents because we've actually built that in the same directory. So we can just use that. That's right in our current directory. So we have our text. Now we actually need to build our user interface. So we're going to use a single class called JFrame to do that. JFrame window is equal to new JFrame. This is my window. So in order to use that, we should import it. Import, and it's in javax.swing.jframe. You'll learn more and more about these packages as you go on, but javax.swing provides some different components and different objects that we can use to display things on the screen. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to type window.setVisible true to tell Java that we should show this frame, and I'm going to go ahead and write it out, and then we'll compile. And then we'll run it. And you can see here nothing actually happened. So that's because we actually didn't call this with any arguments. If we look at our file display Java class, it actually didn't do anything. It said, all right, we don't have any arguments, and we just exited. So let's type Java file display my text.txt. Now we get this tiny little window here. You can see we can make it bigger, and you can see that it says this is my window at the top, just because we called the constructor here with that string. But there are a few problems. One is you can see that this actually is much smaller than we would like it to be. When we close, it's going to actually take a couple of seconds to exit. And you can see here my program is actually still running. My program never actually quit. And there's actually a few reasons for that. So let's go back into our program. We're going to need to do a few things. Let's go ahead and set our window's size. So I'm going to call window.setSize, and we'll make it say 600 pixels wide and 400 pixels high. And now if I compile javac file display.java, Java file display, file display, we need that argument. I wonder how many times I'll forget that here. So that shows up, and you can see it's now 600 pixels wide and 400 pixels high, but we're still going to have that problem where we close it. And the reason why we have this problem is because user interface elements are kind of expensive to build. So Java doesn't want to throw them away until we really know that we should throw them away, until we know that we're not going to use them anymore. So just because I've closed that window doesn't mean it ceases to exist, and because it's still out there, my program doesn't stop. So let's go ahead and kill our program. We'll hit Control-C and close that out, and we'll tell the window to just drop. When we're done, we'll get rid of it. So we will set window set default close operation, JFrame, and you have a couple of options here. You can say dispose on close, and that's one of the options that will allow this to say we're just going to throw this away, and once that's thrown away, we won't use it anymore. In fact, if we open up a Chrome window and we go search for javax.swing.jframe, we can see that we have a Java doc here, and we can actually look at that to find out all about the different values that we have in our JFrame. So if you want to see all of the things you can do, we'll scroll down, we'll get to the constants here. They're in here somewhere. Let's go ahead and, there you go, they're inherited from window constants. Dispose on close, do nothing on close, and hide on close. So we just want to use dispose on close. So we don't want to hide it because that means it'll still be out there. We just want to throw that window away. So we will go back and we are using dispose on close. We will write this out. We will now compile again. And we will run it with my text.txt. There we go. And now when we close it, after a second, it's going to just exit. It's going to say, all right, I don't have anything else left to do. I'm just going to quit. This gets us as far as showing the window. Let's go into this, and we will actually make it. Display our text now. So in the window itself, we have a content pane, and we can add something to that. What we're going to add is something called a JTextArea. JTextArea is just a Java component that allows us to display some text. So we'll call that area. We'll create new JTextArea, and we'll say area.setText equal to the text we already created. So you can see on this line we're creating those contents. We also need to import this, so let's go ahead and we will import javax.swing.jtextArea. Now that we've built it, like we've said before and we've seen here, Java is going to do exactly what we tell it to do, and we haven't told it to do anything with this text area. So what we will do is call window.getContentPane, and this is just going to be the place where we put the components for our window, the different things we want to show in our window, and we will add area. So window.getContentPane.addArea. This basically says take your window, get where we're putting all of our content, and we're going to add that text area. So now when I write this out and I compile and I run it, we get our text right in our file, or right in our windows, and now we can display that. And we could actually, if we want to go a little further, we could say Java file display.java. Now we can actually see that text right in our window here. So nice, easy way to use a class we've already built. Nice, easy way to introduce some basic UI concepts. In future lessons, we'll get more into the user interface, and we'll talk about how we can add different components to different containers and build more and more complex user interfaces. But for now, that should do it. Thanks for watching today, and don't forget to practice your coding.